Hello, my name is David Webb, and this is a video for Dweebovision. I am a Scrabble grandmaster, and in this video I am going to play Scrabble while providing in-game commentary on my moves. Hopefully this will help to improve your game, and be fun to watch. The game has just started, so let's join the action. It's my opponent to go first. I have the J, I don't have a bingo. There won't be an 8-letter bingo through a floater, so my priority is to play off the J and sort out the duplicate O. So a play of Joe, jog, joel, jolt, jolting are all possible. I just need to wait and see what my opponent opens up. If he doesn't play anything, if he changes his letters, I've got Zygot at h4 across for over 40 points, which would be a good score. Well, my opponent uses the first blank and he scores 32 for mucked. I can play jig at I3 across. 24 points. I've also got Mojito at h4 down for 30 points. That's a lot more. I'd like to turn over a lot of tiles because I don't have an E, an S or a blank. Mojito 30 points. Can't see a higher scoring play. I'd also like to keep the board quite open to maximise my chances of getting a bingo. Now, I do have the NG for an ING ending word, but I don't have a bingo with an I. I've got the full suffix, but can't see a bingo with that. This doesn't look a great rack at all, but it's one of those racks which may have a bingo, and if there is a bingo, it would be expensive to miss it. And there's a decent range of floaters, in particular O's, an O, an I and an E. I guess the E is the most likely to yield a bingo, but I can't see a bingo through it. So, what else is available? Flung is a 5-letter word on my rack, but there's nowhere to play that. I've got the A for going after the J, but the best I can do there is an, which isn't very good. I'm looking to play off the U, the G and one of the N's. So gun or flung would work. Flung would certainly be my favoured play. I'm wondering if Auflung is good going through a U. It's not playable on the board as it stands, but it would certainly play off all the tiles I'm looking to play off. There may be something through the second O of Mojito. Yep, all those words are good, and my opponent, now has he opened up something? Well, I could play ag rather than an, but that doesn't resolve the duplicate n. I could play fling at k2 across, leaving ULAN. Only 18 points, that's not very good. Now I would like to resolve this rack as quickly as possible. Is fling really the best I can do? Doesn't feel very good. Yeah, it's annoying holding onto the U because I just know that that's going to damage my bingo prospects. I'm just wondering about playing Gan down here. 24 points. Well, certainly better than changing. FLNU is pretty poor, but I have not come up with anything better. And that's 6 more points than fling. And I'm keeping the F rather than an A, which is okay, because the F ought to guarantee a score, and keeping only one vowel stopped or reduced my chances of having a vowel heavy rack this go. But this rack is terrible. I'm a long way away from a bingo. I am fortunately only 23 points behind. So I need to try and turn things around. There are very few words available on my rack. Now I could play flinch at D6 down. 16 points, leaving HUV. UV's a pretty awful combination. So I'm wondering if I can split it up. The V can go at G8 for a move beginning VI. But I think I'm stuck with Vin, leaving FHUL, which isn't very good. Now it's really important to try and get this move right, because it's racks like this that can be particularly detrimental to your game if it takes you several moves to resolve them, especially if your opponent bingos in the meantime. KO takes an N after it and an I. Double E takes an L and an N after it. Gosh. I am struggling with this. Well, I can play lunch rather than flinch. Well, that's not good. F, H and V. Keeping 3 high-scoring tiles is really poor. Well, 16 points better than changing. I'm keeping the board open, and if I'm fortunate I may be able to resolve this rack in my next move. Or maybe not. I now have 4 high-scoring tiles and a U. But because I've got 2 vowels, I'm likely to be able to score enough to make playing a move better than changing. And although I've tried to keep this board open, It doesn't appear to be a great number of opportunities available. I think the lib move really blocked up the bottom left of the board. I've got bump at d3 across. 22 points. What else is there? Mother is a 5-letter word. I'm not sure if that plays anywhere. 19 for my opponent. That's all good. The P takes a U in front. What goes in front of EF on my rack? Just the T. Right. So I could play a Vort. Actually, this looks quite nice. I'm getting rid of the V and the U. I'm scoring well. 38 points is a huge score with this rack. And B, H and M do have some synergy, and if I pick vowels, would hope to be able to at least score well next go, even if I'm unlikely to bingo. Well, that's a fabulous pickup. 2 E's and an O. Through a D I would have homebred. There is a D at H9. That may well be obstructive if my opponent plays a word beginning with the V of Vort, but at the moment it's available. Homebred. And there's no anagrams of that. Gosh, I wasn't expecting to have a playable bingo when I played Vort. I am now 12 points ahead. I'm wondering if I have any other bingos. I think it's unlikely because there are very few floaters. Great, homebred is not blocked. Homebred, 68 points, not a big score, but it's a very welcome bingo. And I'm rewarded with 2 Ds and 2 Gs. Sometimes you play a bingo and you pick up another bingo straight away and you feel really good. That didn't happen. Now, Deg and Ged are both good, and I've got the duplicate S, so maybe I can play Geds somewhere for a half-decent score. I draw 5 points from my opponent's challenge. I think homebred. Well, actually I'm not sure if it takes an S. Maybe it doesn't. Those moves are all good. I'm now 24 points ahead. I absolutely need to play off 1 D and 1 G. Now I could play Degged. And this is quite nice. D and G are really not synergetic at all. 16 points, which is not bad with that rack. I'm opening up a very easy scoring opportunity for my opponent at H12 across. But I am sorting out a pretty horrible rack. Is there something better? Now what about Sedge at D8 across? 22 points, that's 6 more points. Keeping DGS. Not sure. I've got 11 minutes left. There are 43 tiles in the bag. Don't have anything else. Well, I've got the S to go under Co at J7. Degged just feels slightly too open. Not only am I providing an easy scoring opportunity at h15, but I'm also providing 3 floaters, including the E, on what is otherwise a fairly blocked board. And the other 2 S's are also unseen, so it would be nice to play off one of these S's. Well, what about sedged? Is sedge a verb? I don't know. Not sure about sedging. Don't think it is. Okay, that's not too bad. I have aspersor through the E, and I think there may be anagrams of aspersor. Aspersor plays through the E. I do expect that floater to be taken out. And if it is, what else do I have? Well, there aren't many floaters to consider. I don't think I have a 7-letter bingo. But if my opponent does take out the E of Degged, he may be providing a new floater at h15. Can't see anything through the D of Degged or the G. I'm now 44 points in the lead. I would have sparrows through a W. Now I need to keep an eye on A1 because A3 I could place my R there, so Parvo. Actually Parvo is good, and that would leave RSS, and I think Parvos is good. Okay, do I have anything through the L? Doesn't look likely. The L doesn't go well with the R. Nope, can't see anything there, so I think Parvo is a noun. I think it's maybe short for some disease. RS is a great leave. 39 points is good. And I don't think I can do any better than that. Now my opponent has provided the A of feel, but there's no bingo through that. Great, I draw the second blank. I have a pretty balanced rack. I have 2 I's and 2 R's, but the blank should give me enough flexibility to bingo. I have prairies at A1 down, using the blank as an A. And I have spirea at J8 across and at N5 across. I think Gan takes an S. It would be nice to have a bingo beginning or ending with the L of feel. But there may not be one. But I am bingoing this go. I'm currently 40 odd points ahead, and prairies remains available, which is great. That's 80 points. And I'm now 120 points in front. Fairly balanced rack. I have a scoring tile in the W. I don't think I have a bingo, but there are very few floaters on this board, although there are openings for 7-letter bingos. Right, so I've got my W for scoring, and I need to resolve my duplicate I. So what is available? My W can go at J7 to make cow, but I don't have a word beginning WR. And similarly, my W can go at B10, but not to good effect. Well, I could play wig at E11 down. 14 points, better than changing. But it would be nice to score a bit more than that. But playing off the W and one of the I's is essential. I could play Wiley at C11 across. Same number of points, but the rack leave is improved by playing off the L because it does not go well with the R. Now looking at the tiles that are left, there are 22 left, of which 7 are vowels. So this is what I'm looking at. It's not too bad keeping the I and the O because there are no I's left and there's only one O, and an E would go quite well with this rack leave. Just wondering about playing Whis at I13 across. Let's have a look at that. So Willie for 14. Whis for 32, so 18 more points. I think that's worthwhile. I-Whis is also good, but that doesn't play in that spot. Yeah, 32 points. That's a lot more than I was expecting from this rack. And that looks good. I have, well, retinol is the 7. I was going to say I had blocked it from playing at J8 across. My opponent's gone in that spot. The board now is very tight. I've got 6 minutes left. I don't think there's an anagram of retinol. There are very few places on the board now to play anything. Well, I mean, there are very few bingo lanes available on the board. If I had a bingo beginning with T, it would play at N5, or indeed with E. So does retinol have an anagram? Very high probability if it does. Can't see it. Okay, now I can play underneath. Next, I can play lion. Which doesn't offer much to my opponent. It scores 23 points. Would leave 4 in the bag, and ERT as a balanced rack leave. And I'm keeping the T for N5, although I note that there are 2 T's unseen, so I may duplicate it. Oh, 2 U's and a W. What a horror show. And the tiles that are left are pretty bingo-y. I'm 110 points ahead. If my opponent bingos, well, he's going to get to within 30 of me, or 30 or 40, and he's only going to have 4 tiles. I ought to be able to see this through. But that was an atrocious pickup. Now, where can I play anything? I've got rung at C11 down. That's actually much better than I was expecting. 18 points. And a rack leave of ETU is fine at this stage of the game. My W can also play at L11. So I could play a word beginning WU if I had one, and I don't. Yep, 42 points, those are all good. One tile in the bag. This is what I'm thinking about. $18 points. Now, is this enough? If I get 18, I'm on 384. I'm 87 points in front. Yep, there's just nowhere for my opponent to bingo. I pick an E out of the bag. I can see what my opponent's got on his rack. He's only got an O as a vowel, plus the Y. So he does not have a bingo. So I'm looking to see if I can play out in one. I would have chew T through a T. But there aren't many single tiles available. And there may not be an outplay, but one should always look. And in terms of three-letter words on my rack, I've got T and Ute. So T would play at C13 down, 13 points, and at B12 down, 15 points. And at L11 across, 13 points. I don't have anything through the Z of says. Vort takes an E at the end, so I could play teal and Vort. 12 points. Well, there just isn't very much available, but that's often the case at the end of a game. My opponent has 7.5 minutes left. He could play Dotty at L11 across. That would score quite well. He would be providing a floating T, but it would be in the wrong position for chew T. Okay, so 23 points for my opponent. I cannot go out, I don't think. I can play a T across here. Let's see if this scores more than the alternatives. 16 points. Yep, that's one more point than T, we and Re. And my opponent has 5 vowels. I just need to check that I'm not stuck with my U. So I need to find 2 unblockable spots for it. I can play it at B7. And I can play it at F10. And T hasn't provided any great spots for my opponent. So now I've got 3.5 minutes left. I'm quickly scanning the board to see if there are any other opportunities for my U. My opponent plays Brute at E9. Well, this is still available for 11. And I can't see a higher scoring place. My opponent formally ends the game. And the final score is 326 to my opponent, 423 to me, a winning margin of 97 points. Let's see what I missed. So this was my opponent's opening move. I played Mojito for 30 and I could have played Jog for 26, keeping Toil. Well, yeah, maybe. I don't think there's very much between those moves, but Jog may be slightly better. Fang at L2. I didn't consider coming down to the left-hand side of Lib, but that would have been a good score. Did I play Fling? No, I played Gan for 24 points, keeping Flun. Yeah, Fang would have played off the F and scored 3 more, so would have been better. Love at J8. Oh, I see, making Eel. That would have been nice, getting rid of the V and the U. So I'm sure that was better than my play of Flinch. Yeah, slightly better. Now, I could have played Bahoot at the spot where I played Vort. 2 more points, and AMV is better than BHM. So even though it retains the V, it was better than Vort, but not by a huge margin. This is where I was rather fortunate in having a bingo, given the letters that I had kept, and it was the only one. Sedged was good and is therefore preferable to Degged. It scores 10 more points, and GS is better than SS. So I should have spotted that, and or should have been sure of that, and I wasn't. But considering the other options, Degged looks like it was second best. Great, no miss bingos here, and Parvo's looks best. Prairies and Priscia were the highest scoring bingos, but there were plenty of others available. Whis at I13, that was my play. And this is where I had Retinol. It was unplayable. I played Lion for 23, and that looks as good as anything else there. Now here I played Rung, and I prefer Rung to the options which are being suggested because almost all of them retain 2 U's, which is not good at all. And finally T at M11. Yeah, that was my play. So an interesting game, not a huge number of bingos, 2 bingos, and they felt like they were slow coming, but I think it was a good game to illustrate what to do with horrible racks which aren't quite horrible enough to merit changing. I may have been fortunate in drawing the tiles for Homebred, but that didn't alter the analysis which went into playing the move prior to it or the other moves. So I think this game was slightly unusual and had more than its usual share of interesting but difficult racks. So I hope that was of value to you. And that is that. So thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. My name's David Webb, and this has been a video for Dweebovision.